Welcome to the Explainer. So, you're thinking about upgrading your kitchen, right? Today, we're diving into the anatomy of a cooktop installation. Whether you're ditching an old gas range for a sleek new induction model or just swapping out a cracked radiant top, there is a whole hidden world of prep and safety going on underneath that counter to make sure it sits perfectly flat and works flawlessly. My goal today is to totally demystify this entire process for you. We're going to break it all down and separate the physical prep, the stuff you can absolutely handle yourself, from the high voltage, mandatory professional electrical work. Let's jump right in. Okay, let's just do a quick rundown of our roadmap. We're going step by step, measuring the cutout, figuring out wiring and power needs, looking at ventilation and airflow, the actual physical installation, and finally, testing out your brand new cooktop. All right, part one, measuring the cutout. This right here, right on your kitchen counter, is absolutely the most critical first step. So the big thing to wrap your head around here is the difference between the appliance dimensions and the cutout dimensions. The appliance dimension is what you see, that beautiful glass or metal surface sitting on the counter. But the cutout, that's the actual hole in your counter, and it's always smaller than the appliance itself, which is what lets the cooktop overlap the edges seamlessly and look totally integrated. You've got to pay super close attention here, because a 30-inch model from one brand might need a totally different hole than a 30-inch model from another. Literally half an inch off, and your new cooktop either won't fit or it drops straight through the counter. Yikes. Okay, let's grab a tape measure. To make sure your new unit actually fits before you click order, you'll want to follow these exact steps. First, and honestly, don't skip this, take out the old unit entirely so you're looking at the bare hole. Second, measure the width from the inside of the left edge to the inside of the right edge. Third, measure the depth, front to back. Actually, a pro tip here. Take two depth measurements, one near the left and one near the right, and always go with the smaller number. If your cutout is even slightly tapered, you really need to know the absolute tightest squeeze your new cooktop is gonna face. Moving right along to part two, wiring and power needs. We are now officially crossing the line from DIY prep into the mandatory high-voltage professional zone. This completely explains why you can't just plug a built-in cooktop into a normal wall socket. Look at the difference. A little portable 120-volt cooktop pulls maybe 1,800 watts. Totally fine for a dorm room. But a built-in 240-volt model is a completely different beast. We're talking anywhere from 3,700 to a whopping 9,000 watts. That means it absolutely requires a dedicated circuit, no sharing with the toaster or the fridge, plus a hefty 30 to 50 amp breaker with thick 6 to 8 gauge copper wiring. That massive amount of power is exactly how an induction cooktop can boil a huge pot of water in like 90 seconds without completely tripping your house's power. Now, here's a really interesting safety feature your electrician will install: an isolator switch. Since these units are hardwired into that huge 240-volt supply, you can't just yank a plug out of the wall if something goes wrong. This switch is usually tucked into a nearby cabinet or on the wall. It basically guarantees that if there's ever a kitchen emergency, you can instantly kill the power right then and there instead of sprinting to the basement or the garage to find the main breaker panel. Check out this quote from our sources. Installing your cooktop as an amateur means you have no recourse if something goes wrong. Your manufacturer's warranty will be voided if it is not installed by a qualified electrician. This is huge. Skipping the pro isn't just a massive fire hazard, it's actually illegal in a lot of places. Plus, doing it yourself instantly vaporizes your shiny new warranty. Getting a licensed electrician means you get a certificate of compliance, which protects your family, your house, and your wallet. All right, part three, ventilation and airflow. We're shifting gears to a hidden mechanical requirement that so many people completely overlook when designing their dream kitchen. So let me ask you, do cooktops actually need to breathe? We always think about the range hood sucking up smoke above the stove, right? But what on earth is going on underneath the counter, inside the cabinet itself? Well, the answer is a massive yes. Think about it like a high-powered laptop. Modern electric and induction cooktops aren't just simple heating coils anymore. They're packed with super sophisticated computer boards and sensors. And just like a gaming laptop, they have internal cooling fans that absolutely demand cool, fresh air from underneath the counter. If you trap them inside a sealed custom cabinet with zero vents, the unit is literally going to just choke on its own exhaust heat. It'll overheat, shut down right in the middle of cooking dinner, or just completely fry the internal electronics. Section 4, the physical installation. The wiring is done, the airflow is sorted, so now we are back to the fun part, dropping the unit in and making it one with your kitchen. Let's walk through exactly how this happens. First, if you're modifying your current counter, The pro move is to drill round holes in the four corners of your marked cutout. That relieves tension so your expensive countertop doesn't crack when you go in with the jigsaw. Next, you tape the perimeter and coat that raw cut edge with waterproof silicone. This is absolutely crucial. If a pot boils over, that seal is what stops water from seeping into the counter or dripping down and destroying the electronics underneath. And finally, you just carefully drop the cooktop right into the center and lock it down from below with the mounting hooks so it doesn't slide around while you're furiously stirring a pot. Oh, and here's a really fun, ultra-specific detail from the sealant experts. If your new cooktop uses silicone instead of a foam gasket, you don't just smear it everywhere like peanut butter. You're supposed to apply hazelnut-sized clumps exactly every 5 to 6 inches around the perimeter of the opening. It gives you the perfect cushion and seal without making the cooktop permanently glued to your counter, just in case you ever need to lift it out for servicing later. And finally, part 5, testing your new cooktop. The silicone is dry, the electrician gave you the thumbs up, and now it's the moment of truth. Let's run through the manufacturer's final checks, because this is where all that hard work pays off. First up, turn it on and just listen. You want to hear the steady, normal hum of that cooling fan we talked about. Next, poke all the touch keys to make sure the glass is perfectly responsive. Then we test the brilliant safety sensors. Turn a burner on with no pot on it. It should auto-alarm and shut itself off within 2 minutes. Then, try an empty pot on high heat. The sensors should immediately catch that dangerous temperature spike, sound the alarm, and cut the power to protect your house. Finally, do a boil test. Get water boiling at 100 degrees Celsius and slide the pot a little off-center. A good induction unit should maintain the connection and keep right on heating. So, we've covered the meticulous measuring, the high-voltage wiring, the airflow, and the final tests. But before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one big thought. Before you even open a new browser tab to start shopping for that dream cooktop, go take a hard look at your house's electrical panel. Is it truly wired and ready to handle the 240-volt, 50-amp, high-voltage future of cooking, or are you looking at a major electrical upgrade first? Figuring that out is the very first step of your kitchen transformation. Thanks for hanging out, and happy cooking.